Welcome to Topstep Funded Trader Interview. And today we've got Michael. Michael's going to be with us here, one of our newest funded traders, and with a little twist. But before we get to Michael, remember, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen. Taking notes will and can benefit you down the road. Michael, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. Friday here in Chicago, a little cloudy. I'm being very humble, but it's the weekend, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's very nice to have you here with us, one of our funded traders, newest funded traders. And I did mention a twist. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Michael, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So I've been trading for a little over 10 years. I think that I've gone through a progression that, I'm in the Topstep Discord group, and, I've socialized with traders over the course of my career. And I think I've followed a path that a lot of traders follow, which is a lot of times because, you're starting with a small amount of money, you start trading small caps or small stocks, micro caps. And as you progress, if you're fortunate, I believe you find your way to futures. I think futures is just a fantastic market. I like how it has kind of a macro focus. I like how you can touch on things outside of just equities. Over the course of my time trading, I've kind of gone from trading smaller stocks to trading kind of larger macro themes. And I found that it's just fit a lot better with my personality and what I'm interested in.
Something or somebody has pulled us all into this crazy business. Mm-hmm. What or who got you interested in trading?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my first internships when I was actually a senior in high school, so before I was even in college, was working with a financial advisor. And, he was a family friend. I think they were just trying to help me with my resume. I didn't get paid anything, but just so I could put that on my resume. But, I hadn't gone to college yet. And so I didn't really have any skills. So one of the things that he asked me to do was just to read the Wall Street Journal every day and to kind of update him on what was going on. And I was just obsessed with all of the articles they would write about hedge fund traders, right? So people my age at that time, they cared a lot about like what was going on in basketball, what was going on in the NFL.
Right.
And to me, I was following the top traders, and Paul Tudor Jones was kind of the person that got me hooked. The way that he looked at the markets, and also the way he was as a person outside of the markets, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And so it was a long path to get there, but that's the person I would say inspired me the most.
Cool. It's a good story. Now, I mentioned about the funding twist. Michael, tell us what you're trading now. And I mentioned this before. You started out with the trading combine. Mm-hmm. All right. And now you're in the swing account. Tell us about that. What happened and how you got there?
Yeah. So I'd been with Topstep for almost 3 years at this point. And I had been funded in the intraday account, for probably, off and on for probably close to a year. And I think one of the things that I realized is like in assessing my strengths and weaknesses, because that's the biggest thing about trading, right? Is like, the only constant is change. There's no such thing as like making it. You are constantly improving and getting better. And one of the things that I kind of learned was, and even kind of think about what I talked about earlier about reading the Wall Street Journal every day when I was younger, is understanding the larger macro themes that are moving markets is, I would say, something that's a strength of mine. And it's a strength simply because it's what interests me. And so while I, did decently well in the intraday account, I switched to the swing account because I realized that a lot of the ideas that I had would play out over the course of days and weeks and sometimes even months. But I was struggling to capture that, trying to get in and out every day. And so once I was able to kind of hold positions based on a catalyst happened, I think this is going to have an impact for weeks or months. It really freed me up to trade the way I saw the markets versus being limited by intraday rules.
Awesome. And, I tell you, if there's an open door, see what's behind, see what's behind it. Take that step. And in your case, things worked out. Things worked out very well.
Yeah.
So props to you on that. When you're trading, share with us, do you use indicators, by the way?
I do use indicators. I don't use a ton. I probably only
Okay.
use two or three and then kind of layered over multiple time frames. But the simplest way I can put it is I use anchored VWAPs and then standard deviations around those anchored VWAPs. So what was the VWAP intraday over the course of the week, over the course of the month, over the course of the quarter, and then what would be a standard deviation move away from those? Yeah, like I was saying, I use indicators, but I really just use them as a way to structure trades. Structuring entries and then structuring scaling out of a trade over time. But the underlying theme behind my trades is always based on fundamentals. And it right now is a fascinating time because there are so many big fundamental catalysts going on that if you can kind of interpret what a CPI print means, or what the Fed speak means, or kind of today's a perfect example, what the jobs data actually means, because sometimes good news is bad news, because it's going to be impacting the Fed to be aggressively hawkish, things like that.
Right.
Um, those types of things are what I really base my trade around. Like I said, the technicals are just a way to structure entries and exits.
Let me ask you about the Feds.
Sure.
Do you trade into the Feds, or do you sit back, let the dust settle, let the noise chill out, and then catch the true move?
I would say I have kind of a dual approach, and this is true with almost all of my trades. I'm definitely more of a swing trader. I would say the biggest blessing I ever had was kind of being forced to trade intraday for so long because I have the intraday skills now. But my instinct is more to let things play out over time. So, for example, like when the Fed print comes out or when the CPI comes out, because those
Right.
have been the two biggest market movers lately, what I'll do is I'll very quickly kind of intraday trade the initial reaction off of certain levels. And then based off of where it settles, I'll settle into a swing position and let that play out over the course of days or weeks.
So you do let the dust settle a little bit until you get that good vision.
I
And
do. I would say I trade small, because you only need a small amount when things are swinging around by hundreds of
right,
points. And
exactly.
and then once the dust settles, I'll build into a bigger position.
All right, awesome. Now we got a lot of traders listening to this recording, this broadcast, and new traders do like to watch these fun to trader interviews. What words of wisdom would you share with a new trader?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something I care a lot about, because I really like to work with newer traders. When you've worked really hard to kind of learn a certain skill, it feels good to help other people, but it also makes you better.
Right.
When you have to articulate simply what it is that you do, it actually makes you a better trader. So it's like a double win. And so the advice I would give is twofold. The first one's going to seem counterintuitive. The second one I don't think will. The first one is that trading is not that hard. And I know that sounds crazy, but when it comes to finding a strategy that actually has statistical edge, it's not that hard to do. You can definitely pay for a service somewhere to learn somebody else's strategy. But honestly, like when I started trading 10 years ago, I just looked at charts, looked for patterns, and I was successful pretty quickly, and consistently over time trading my own money because I didn't think that it had to be complicated. I just found simple patterns and waited for them. So like understand that it doesn't have to be complicated would be number one. But the second one, which I think is even more important, is that we all know that trading is more of a mind game, right? But like the way to understand that I've found is that most people are trying to get over fear. They're trying to force themselves past the fear. And the goal is not to get over fear. It's to let go of the attachment that you have to winning on this trade, to being a seven-figure trader. It's letting go of the idea of who you think you are and who you're going to be, and just like enjoying being in the markets. It's a beautiful process. Winning is great because it helps you trade more and you have more money in your account. And losing is great because it teaches you where your weaknesses are. And if you can genuinely let go of I'm a winner or I'm a loser and just learn along the way and realize like this is something that I can get better at for my entire life, that's a beautiful thing to have in your life. And if you can look at it through that lens, you don't get overconfident when you win and you don't, in tons of pain when you lose, which I experienced that for a really long time. So once I kind of learned to let go and not attach to, trading is who I am, it's just one of the many things that I
Right.
do. It really, I don't feel fear very often. I just kind of do. It's more creative than analytical, and it's much more enjoyable.
See, now that's a unique approach. I mean, the majority of us, we do fear the market. I mean, it's like we go to battle every day.
Hmm.
And I know on the trading floor, I mean, you weren't just battling the market, but you were battling the guy next to you and the guy behind you and the guy in front of you.
Hmm.
Um, this is like I said, very unique. And if we can program ourselves, the mindset. I mean, that's just so important. It all starts upstairs,
Yep.
and if you can keep it flowing, and you don't have that anxiety, you don't have that stress, and it's hard not to.
Hmm.
But once you get to a point where you see success, it comes more often,
Hmm.
and you can feel it, and it's just part of your day.
100%. And that's one of the things too that I noticed, like, to kind of piggyback on one of your earlier questions, you talk about or asked me about like what inspired me. I said Paul Tudor Jones, but kind of the way I learned about him was through the book Market Wizards. I think anybody that's a trader
Right.
knows about that book. And one of the commonalities you'll notice with a lot of the people that were successful there is that they had some massive blow up at some point. And what I believe is the process of like going through a huge, horrible loss, it helps you in that detachment. If you have this illusion that I'm going to be, even if it may be true one day, if you have this illusion that I'm going to be this huge, successful, multi-million dollar trader, and then that idea of yourself just gets completely destroyed, you kind of finally let go of it. And then you just see the markets for what they are, not for what you want them to be. And you can start to trade off of your own talents, because we all have a talent for this. I believe, the right time frame, the right market, we all are wired a certain way that will be successful. It's
Right.
about being able to see that realistically and not through the fantasies that you create for yourself,
Right.
looking at the markets.
I mean, it's desire, it's passion, it's
Yep.
I've got an itch. I
Yep.
got to trade. So a lot of us are like that.
Yep.
But what you just added, I mean, that's gold, gold knowledge. And I hope those that are listening can take that with them and apply it to their progress. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good stuff there. What do you like most about Top Step?
I think Topstep is great. I think it's one of the best things that I've found in my trading career, because it allows you to both trade without the risk of losing your own money, but also feel the real emotions of when what you're trading matters. If you're trading simulation, you're not risking any money, but you don't have any goals necessarily. And even in the combine, even though it's not real, you feel the pressure. And that's the only way you're going to be able to learn, am I holding on too tight, or can I actually just let go and do what I'm supposed to do? I don't know the numbers, but I could guess that 90% of the people that fail out of the combine probably do so because they break their daily loss limit. That's probably the
Right.
most common rule.
You're right.
Yeah.
Dead on.
And the reason you break your daily loss limit is because you are attached to an idea that day, you know? And so if you're in a simulated account, you can just restart it and it doesn't matter. But if you're in the combine, you feel the pain of, I actually didn't do what I was supposed to do. So having your risk management rules set and forced on you, I think is the most valuable thing that Topstep provides for traders, because it turns it into a habit that you should have, whether you're in Topstep or not.
All right. Like that answer. Good stuff. Now, besides trading, besides seeing, I mean, you've been trading for 10 years. Um, what other things do you do besides trading?
Yeah. So I used to be really into very intense sports. So I love surfing. I lived in Hawaii for a while. I used to surf on the North Shore.
Nice.
I liked to just do kind of those life risking type of sports. As I've gotten older, gotten married, have more personal responsibilities, I've kind of chilled out a bit. But so, I love going for really long hikes. I think one thing that may be apparent from my answers is that I've gotten really into meditation. It's ironic. It's one of those things where I started meditating to become a better trader. And
Mhm.
I'd almost say now I almost trade to become a better meditator. It's almost like a extension of that practice,
Wow.
because it bleeds into so much more of your life. You're able to handle stressors better. You're able to see things more clearly. And so, yeah, so that like meditating is one of the main things that I do. And it's not just sitting down on the cushion. I go for a lot of long walks. I would say now my favorite hobby is probably hiking, deep in the woods and in the mountains. I live in New England, so there's a lot of that here. But just, yeah, I like to do things that help calm me down, because life is stressful, markets are stressful. And if you can both exercise and relax and kind of meditate at the same time, it's very productive.
You got that right. You got that right for sure. Well, Michael, I appreciate you being here with us. Any last words here for our fellow traders?
Yeah, I think the one other piece of advice that I would give is that, um, this is true for myself and it's true for kind of the best traders that I know, right? Like, take your ego and throw it out the door. Reach out to people, right? Like, I think one of the great things about Topstep is that they have a lot, they have a community, they have a Discord room. If you see people doing things that are impressive, just ask them what they're doing. I think I mentioned it earlier, but like one of the things people want to do when they achieve a certain level of success, however you define that, is it's very gratifying to help other people. And it can be intimidating to do that. But that's how you're going to get ahead. So don't be scared to reach out to people. We're nice. We're happy to help.
Yeah.
And it'll help you grow.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it is questioning somebody that has seen success. And I don't think I've come across anyone that says, no, learn it on
Yeah.
your own. I mean, on the trading floor, I had guys, pulling me aside saying, hey, you want to be here? You want to stay here? This is what you got to do.
Yep.
So, awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for being with us here. One of our funded traders. Maybe catch him on Discord. But otherwise, Michael, once again, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think that's about it. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, and trade well. Take care.